back in 1846 when they had that removal was, like I said, another divide and conquer. And following that was the Treaty of 1854 when the government finally said, yes, we did that. We now recognize two groups of Miami Indians. Well, that's what they did. We already knew that we were all the same people. But in that Treaty of 1854, they called them the Western Miami and the Eastern Miami. Eastern Miami being the ones who still lived here. And why were the ones that were allowed to stay? Because those Indians were Indians and families that still had land that the Europeans had not dominated yet. And from that point, there were several other actions that the United States government started to go after on the groups of people that did live here in Indiana. If we had land, they would back tax them for 200 years, take their land. I mean, it's happened over and over again, treaty after treaty after treaty. Eventually, our people lost all of their land, and it just went away. But you know what? The land went away, but the people and the culture and the heart and who we are did not go away. And there were a few lawsuits that were won, and I'll tell you right now, there are some people in here, some Miamis and some elders that have been paid for lawsuits of land. We've actually got government paychecks from the federal government for land allotments from lawsuits. The federal government will give us money for land that they really illegally took, but yet we're not American Indians, we're United States citizens. We are what they want us to be. Well, no, we're not. We are who we are, and there's no one else going to ever tell them that. We continue on as a strong nation today, and I'm going to tell you right to this very moment, the Miami Nation still is going to be fighting for federal recognition and state recognition. Land of the Indians, the state of Indiana. You know, it's something we're going to continue to go forward with, and we're doing it right now. Hopefully in the next month or so, maybe the city of Fort Wayne will finally come to the table and say, yes, Kikianga was one of the biggest places of the Miami Nation. Yes, you still exist, because we do, and we're here, and we're not going away. They can shut the door now, but you know what? It's going to get knocked down again. So I will tell you, back when they removed us, we lived for about 40 or 50 years here in Indiana as a federally recognized Indian tribe. In 1897, there was an assistant attorney general by the name of Willis Van Devanter. He lived in Marion, had a brother-in-law lived in Marion, and I think commissioner in Miami County, land commissioner. He came to Indiana, he observed the Indians. He said, well, these guys don't live in teepees, wickiups. They don't have a reservation. Gosh, they're living in log homes. They're not Indians. They're American citizens. So therefore, you're not federally recognized anymore. You're American citizens. You're not Indians. Well, that just, I can't tell you, that's a one opinion that took our federal recognition away here in the state for our people. What does that mean to the people? Well, that just means that we don't get to benefit from any of the things that other Native American tribes have been able to benefit from, whether it be economic development, educational help through the federal government, housing, senior health care. There's a line of list of things. There's over 80 federal programs right now in the United States of America that help Native American Indians and their tribes if they're federally recognized on reservation land. Well, after that opinion happened in 1897, the tribe was not federally recognized. But our fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers and mothers, they all came together and said, they're not going to do that to us. And that's when they decided. We met in moose lodges. We met in the Elks Lodge. We met at the local store down the road. I mean, wherever we could meet, we met. We met on a city county court building in Peru, Indiana. Just because we didn't have a reservation or a big teepee or wickiup somewhere where they could say, oh, there's the Indians. That doesn't mean we didn't exist, because they did. The whole time our forefathers put together a system that we still have done nothing but complement and build on that. And that is one of the things that they did, was to be able to adapt to the European society as put forth to us today. Take what they put to us, still continue to teach our culture, and be who we are, but yet coexist with their side of their life, of their law. So that's what we've done. We incorporated, I believe, 1937 incorporation. What is that? A tribe is incorporated. Well, that just gives us an opportunity to be able to do things under white man's law that would not allow us to do. And we could still Yeah, they would call us a group, but we were a tribe. We knew who we were, and we didn't care what they said about us because they've already done enough to us in the last 150 years anyway. So we still continued to build out an incorporation. Our men fought in all the foreign wars, World War I, Korean, World War II, Vietnam, Desert Storm. We have all of our Native brothers and warriors go over across the seas to fight for our country and our freedom. Do we celebrate Thanksgiving? No. Well, why would we? Well, we do celebrate Thanksgiving. You know what? We sit down for Thanksgiving, but we don't give thanks for what Thanksgiving means in the white European culture. We give thanks for being able to be here and continue on as a group as what we have. Not the same meaning right now. One thing that really upsets me is when Columbus discovered America in 1492. Did you know that, David? No, you know, it's over and over again. We go out to classrooms and colleges, and I can't tell you how many colleges I've been to in the last 10 years. It's just astronomical. I've been to every one in the state of Indiana, 3 or 4 in Illinois, in Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, down in Kentucky. We've been down there. It's just to do what we try to do today is to educate other groups of people who have kind of maybe not experienced the same, what some groups are experiencing now, we've experienced 100 years ago and have adapted to it. It's not going to make us cease to exist, and we will continue to go forward with this. Just in a common day right now, the tribe is very, very strong. We've got all kinds of things going on. I can tell you since from about April or May time frame, there's not a weekend that I don't have booked for something to do with Native American culture, whether it be a powwow, weddings, talks, you name it. The latest thing that the tribe is going after that we're going to be asking for the city of Fort Wayne for help on. I got council members over here, Ricky Marks and David Marks, who are going to be hopefully pursuing the mayor's office for a proclamation for the city of Fort Wayne to recognize the Miami Nation as a sovereign nation, because that's what we are. We've already had the city of Marion do it. Wabash is going to be doing it this next Monday. Peru will be doing it here in a couple of weeks, and we hope to get Fort Wayne on board in Kokomo. And the reason why we're doing this, it's not a secret. We've got Senator Randy Head, who's going to sponsor a bill at state recognition level for the state level. What that does is open door for federal monies to come into this state and help clear up this economic mess that we've already created, and maybe help with, you know, the big scope of things in the United States. Bringing in these dollars will help the Native American kids maybe get some things accomplished through education. Maybe it'll help clear up some of this senior health care issues. It's not going to solve the problem, but it could help. And when Senator Head goes and takes this legislation to the state, it's going to be very difficult for any of the representatives and state senators in this area to argue that we're not a group of people, a tribe. We are not an indigenous entity when we are. When the cities recognize us as human beings that have a history here, as far back as it can be documented, it's going to be very difficult for someone else to not say so. And that is the whole purpose of doing it. So I asked the city of Fort Wayne and some of the groups that we sure could use your support with the mayor's office in the next couple of weeks. The federal recognition levels, that's also coming along, and I know I heard President Obama's name today. I also wanted to say that there's legislation in the federal government right now for Native Americans, and it is the rewrite of the federal petition process. The Miamis were denied that, and they were denied that because we could not prove that we had adequate existence during the time frames of World War I and II, and the reason for that being because of our men being over fighting for our own country. We didn't have meetings every month because our men were gone. And so those things are going to be cleared up, we hope, at a federal level, and we hope that President Obama will be behind this. Is there any questions so far? No? Yes. Yes?
I had a question. You were talking about treaties and land and territory. You're saying that, I might have gotten this wrong, the federal government does not recognize you guys having any land or
No.
at all, period,
No.
nothing?
No.
They just recognize you as American citizens.
Right. The tribe has land right now land base. We have 150 acres in Park County, which is out by Terre Haute, that, I don't know if you all heard this a few years back, that a white man gave us. Yeah, it happened. Believe it or not, it happened. We do have our powwow grounds down there, and that's gonna, someday they're gonna hope to put a history and culture center down there. We also have 37 acres on the Mississinawa River, which is in Miami County. That is our holy property, and we usually hold our longhouses and wedding ceremonies down there. It's also a land, none of our land is allowed to be desecrated. No drinking and no, it's very well enforced. And that is the land that we own. We also own all of our family Native American cemeteries. But as far as federal land in trust, anything coming from the federal government on reserves, no, we have not any type of federal recognition for any type of land base. I'm not, John Dunnigan, our vice chief, is our history historian. And I will tell you, I'm going to say there's the Deaf Man Village, there's the Meshinga Mesa Reserve, there was the Godfrey Reserve, the Pimwamas had a reserve too, didn't they? They had the Bundy Reserve. All of these head family clans had reserved lands, but those reserved lands were communable owned reserves, not reservations. So that was not federal gift from the federal government. When that was pulled in 1897, all that went away, and that's when our grandfathers started suing and creating lawsuits for these. And again, like I mentioned earlier, we did win a couple of those, and that was some of the things that we got paid for. And that was very disturbing too, because we got paid on the interest of the fair market value of that property, which was a couple of cents. Okay, not what it was, the value of the property, what it was worth.
I got a question, Derek, if you mind. If you could explain to us or share with us the whole notion of George Washington and his command that he gave Harrison to trick you out the land or get you drunk on the land, and the whole aspect of the accolades or the uplifting of Harrison and Fort Wayne.
No, I'm not going to answer that because I don't know enough about that in detail to be able to put that out for the public. One of the things that I want to be able to get across is when I do talk, I talk on specifics, and I don't know the specifics of some of the stories. I can tell you stories, but it may not necessarily be one point of view. Whether it's the truth or not, I can't answer that. I do know that the feelings of family clans across family clans of what Harrison has done, Washington and Wayne, it would probably curl your back on some of the way things were manipulated. But again, I don't want to go into that in detail. I would rather those kind of questions be directed to our historian, and I'm sorry to say that.